Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the June 24th, 2026 meeting of the Fond du Lac City Council. Our first item of business is roll call done electronically. With all of us present, I'll declare a quorum present. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection. Please rise at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And for item D, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Biber.
Thank you, Mr. Heisler. I'd like to recognize, I think it's important, there's so many things that go in our city, good and bad. And sometimes, like the news, they always hit the bad. And I like to keep up with what's been good and showing and in the community as much as I can for myself. And I open it up to, any other council members that want to do the same thing. I think it'll be a good thing. I'd like to recognize the police department, went to their annual ceremony for fallen officers last month. And then also today with the pinning ceremony. It was very well done, very respectful, very well attended. And Chief Aaron, you did a good job both times with your speeches. And also Jason back there on the bagpipes, he did awesome. Also like to recognize Winnebago Lutheran Academy, who did a beautiful job. I thought it was an adult choir almost, who did an awesome job. And so these type of things I like to see pushing more to. I coach soccer, so and I always like to elevate kids, a positive role model. And thank you guys for being a positive role model out there. Thank you. And then also want to recognize the two pinned officers and the dog. And we also had the, I never thought in my life I'd see a city clerk jump out of her skin, but trying to shake the hand of a dog, but there's some nice things. So I just wanted to recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And for the record, Maggie's reflexes were really good. Great day today. Thanks, everybody. And with that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which is going to finalize the proposed actions for the meeting. A, June 10th, 2026 minutes, and B, the list of claims dated the 17th of June. Any questions or corrections to the consent agenda? Seeing no questions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion at this time. I see a motion from Mr. Zimmerman and a second by Ms. Mayweather. Thank you both. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone. And with the consent agenda finalized, we're going to move on to audience comments. Agenda and non-agenda items. Our presiding officer, that's me, will limit speaking time for non-agenda items to 2 minutes and items noticed on the agenda to 5 minutes. Ms. Hefter, do we have anyone wishing to speak? We do not have anyone wishing to speak, so we'll close audience comments at this time. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our action items, which is the annual alcohol beverage license renewals. This list is dated June the 18th, 2026. Ms. Hefter has that introduction for us.
Thank you, President Heisler. This final alcohol license listing presented to you are applications that missed the first filing deadline date of May 14th. Renewal applications were published in the Reporter on June 14th, 15th, and 16th for the purpose of notifying the public of pending action, which is a state statute requirement. All licenses have been inspected by city departments, and no outstanding delinquent debt is due to the city. Therefore, city staff recommend approval of the list submitted, and this will close out the 2026-2027 alcohol license renewal cycle.
Thank you, Ms. Hefter. Any questions from council for Ms. Hefter? Seeing no questions on the floor, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Mr. Mullen has the first motion, and Ms. Brault has the second. Thank you both. Any further discussion at this point? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone. And now we're going to move on to Resolution 9246. That's a resolution approving the final plot of the Hidden Valley Phase 2 subdivision. And the Plan Commission recommendation is approval on this one. Our city engineer, Mr. Johnson, has the introduction for us on it.
Thank you, President Heisler. Whenever you divide land in the state, and it's more than 4 tracts, you have to do a subdivision plat. In this case, it's the Hidden Valley Phase 2 final plat out on the east side of town. Hidden Valley Phase 2 will create 7 residential lots, some street right-of-way, and 2 out tracts. Before a final plat can come to you, a preliminary plat must be reviewed by the Plan Commission and approved. This particular preliminary plat went through the Plan Commission back in February 2025. When we review the final plat, we review it against the preliminary plat and other regulatory requirements, make sure it meets all the standards. And if it conforms to those standards, then you generally would approve the plat. That being said, this preliminary plat, or the final plat, is consistent with the preliminary plat approved by Plan Commission, and it, per City Engineering, Community Development, and Plan Commission, it is recommended for approval of the final plat. With that said, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions for Mr. Johnson? I'll take one from Mr. Mullen. Go ahead, you're first.
We've had a couple emails from people in that neighborhood, kind of complaining that there is only a single entrance and exit to that subdivision. Are there standards for that kind of thing? And does that subdivision meet those standards?
Yes, there is no standard for the number of entrances and exits to a subdivision. That being said, when the ultimate plat is built out, there will be 3 entrances and exits to the subdivision. But being that this plat is being done in phases, or the subdivision is being done in phases, there's currently only 1 entrance and exit.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. Ms. Leering, you're up next.
Yeah, and in one of my emails, the concern was that people are coming through there. I think they're taking shortcuts through there or something. I'm not really sure, but they were complaining about other traffic going through there. But I didn't understand. I know I didn't understand it either. But is there anything we can do to speed up the process of having different entrances and exits?
It's all based off the market and what the developer wants to do. I mean, the developer is building out this section. It's probably costing around $750,000. And so it's going to take quite a bit more money to keep building it out. So usually developers build only a couple of lots at a time so that they can meet their demands.
No, I mean, and it's great the developer is doing that, but is there anything that we can do, the city can do, to help with this situation?
I don't believe there is, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Johnson? Mr. Biber, it is yours.
Thank you. On top of what Angela's saying, I guess if they put stubs, but it wouldn't go through to anywhere until they developed the subdivision, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So even if we do, I mean, it's a great idea and we do, but we would be spending money till whenever they finally would do it. And you don't want to wait till they plat it out, and otherwise you might not mesh up or what well. So that was just my comments. Thank you. Did you have something, Patrick?
Yeah. Just the email, the complaint on that was that people think they can cut through. There is no outlet. There's a sign that says that. And so they're running around there getting lost. That was the gist of the email. The other thing is that I just wanted to comment on this is that we don't know when the rest of that parcel is going to be built out. I mean, it could be 20 years.
That's correct.
And so putting in roads to nowhere and, hoping that 20 years from now, somebody builds a home on it. Doesn't seem like a good use of taxpayer money.
Thank you both. Go ahead, I'll give you one more opportunity. Go ahead.
Thank
Yep.
you. I just had, with one, is there something we can maybe do an extra signage, I guess? I don't know why people don't follow that sign, but I mean, whatever.
I mean, the city can put additional signs that says no outlet. That's about the extent of what can be done.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Any further discussions from Mr. Johnson? With seeing no one else in the queue, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Got a motion from Mr. Mullen. And I've got a second from Ms. Sproul. Thank you both. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And with that, that closes out our action items for this evening, which means now we're moving on to the presentation of input items. And our input item tonight is a review of the city rules for two-wheel transportation presented by our police chief. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, President Heisler. Tonight's discussion is intended to provide an overview of the increasing use of e-bikes, e-scooters, and e-motos. First and foremost, we support the safe and responsible use of these devices. When used properly, they provide valuable transportation, recreation, independence, and accessibility benefits for residents of all ages. As their popularity continues to grow, however, we have also seen an increase in concerns from residents regarding safety and responsible operation. I want to share some of those concerns with you that we at the police department hear frequently. Excessive speeds on sidewalks and shared youth paths, riders failing to obey stop signs and traffic signals, operation by younger or inexperienced riders, high-powered e-motos being operated on sidewalks, trails, parks, and public streets, and then the many near misses involving pedestrians, bicyclists, and motor vehicles. This is not simply a police issue. It is a shared responsibility involving riders, parents, motorists, educators, and the community as a whole. Like any form of transportation, these devices can be used safely and responsibly, or they can create risks when operated carelessly or outside the rules that already exist. A key part of today's presentation and input is to understand that not every electric-powered device is legally considered an e-bike. Wisconsin law already distinguishes between electric bicycles and higher-powered electric motorcycles, or commonly known as e-motos. So generally, an e-bike must have three things: have operable pedals, have a motor of 750 watts or less, and then Wisconsin has classified those into three different classes. So they'd meet a class 1, a class 2, or a class 3 requirement, which I'll explain at the end. Devices that exceed those limits or do not have operable pedals may be classified as motor vehicles and become subject to different registration, licensing, operating requirements. One of the biggest challenges we face at the police department is that many residents are unaware of these distinctions. Some devices marketed as e-bikes, and we're seeing that a lot online, not in our local stores, but when we have community members buying those online under the umbrella e-bikes, may actually be considered motor vehicles under Wisconsin law. It is my professional opinion the primary issue we are encountering is not a lack of law. Wisconsin statutes and existing city ordinance already provide the framework necessary to address most of the situations we are seeing. The greater challenge is awareness, education, and compliance. We need riders to understand the rules, parents to understand what they are purchasing, and all users of our streets, sidewalks, trails, and parks to recognize that these are shared spaces where safety must come first. For that reason, I do not believe additional city ordinance language is necessary at this time. Instead, I believe our greatest opportunity to improve safety lies in public education, community awareness campaigns, which you've seen hopefully on our social media, parent engagement, rider training and safety messaging, and consistent enforcement of existing laws when necessary. Moving forward, the police department will continue monitoring community concerns and enforcement trends, expand public education efforts regarding e-bikes, e-scooters, and e-motos, continue enforcing existing Wisconsin statutes and city ordinances when violations create safety risks, and reevaluate the need for ordinance changes in the future if trends indicate a gap in the current legal framework. Our goal is not to discourage the use of these devices. Our goal is to ensure that they are used safely, responsibly, and legally so everyone can enjoy the benefits they provide while helping keep our streets, sidewalks, trails, and parks safe for all residents. Prior to the meeting, I shared a flyer that should be in front of all of you that shows the three devices I'm talking about. So if you look in the middle, it explains what an e-bike is in a Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. And in Wisconsin, it has to be for an e-bike, it has to be a Class 1, which is pedal assisted and go up to 20 miles per hour. A Class 2 is also 20 miles per hour, but those are the ones you see, the little throttle, so it doesn't have to be pedal assisted, it can get up by itself. And then Class 3, which kind of looks like a Class 1, very hard to see the difference. It goes up to 28 miles per hour, but has to be pedal assisted. Really, the only difference on the Class 3, because of the speed, is Wisconsin requires you to be 16 years old. Doesn't mean you have to have a driver's license, but you have to be 16 years old to have that. What we're seeing, when I would say it like our boots on the ground, is the e-bikes that are being sold, and I would say the overwhelming majority, when I say that, I'm saying 95% or more, they have wheels that are above 20 inches in size. What does that mean for Fond du Lac, and why do I talk about awareness is in the parents that are buying this and their young adults that are buying these. We already have city ordinance that says bicycles with 20-inch tires or more cannot be on our sidewalks. And that is, I mean, that's a great rule because they're larger bikes, they go faster, right? And you have probably older youth on there or adults that are on them. So that means they have a few places they can be. One of them is in the streets. So if you're operating a bike in the streets, the rules are already there that you have to be going in the direction of traffic, you have to be following all the traffic laws. Where we run into some things with our youth is, if you can think about it, they're on, we'll put them on something that's legal, we'll put them on an e-bike, we'll get to the e-motos in a second. They're on an e-bike, we're asking them to be on the road because the tires are more than 20 inches. They've never had driver's ed, right? They might not have the knowledge of rules of the road, so there really is an impact on all of us to get the awareness to these young riders to understand going with traffic. If you haven't driven on the streets, I mean, there's times that I'm driving around, I'm going home, I see adults that know the rules of the road riding their bikes in the direction into traffic. So it's encompassing all of us as a community. The other thing for these e-bikes, if you do have the 20-inch tires or more, which what we are seeing, you also have the opportunity, if you haven't known, and because of City Council and the strategic plan that we've had, we have an incredible loop, we have incredible trails. We've become a very bike-friendly community. There's plenty of places that you can ride those on the trail and the loops. Obviously, what we ask from a police standpoint is just etiquette on there, knowing that we're gonna share those. A lot of those areas, especially if you've gone into like Lakeside Park, a lot of it's gotten wider. So you can, you have time to, if you're getting behind somebody, to ring a bell, to let them know you're coming. It's all about etiquette. Where we're seeing a breakdown is, like I said, some of the purchases are not local and they're online, and they're being included under the umbrella of e-bikes, but they're not meeting that Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3 classification, and they're really e-motos. And we have already Wisconsin law and city ordinance that those can't be anywhere on our sidewalks, on our streets, on our trails. They can really be on private property if you have permission to be there, or like where you have permission to go off-roading. So some of it is in the lack of acknowledgement when you're buying one and you think it's an e-bike and you're driving around and it's going more than 28 miles per hour, or a lot of times we see they don't have operable pedals, right? It's just pegs on there, and they're not supposed to be on in the first place. Then if you add, most of them are under the age of 16 that are on those, you can imagine, some of the things that happen when they're on those. So again, awareness. We are trying to we have some groups that are on those e-motos. We're trying to get to them, see where they're going back to their house so that we can have those talks with not only the youth, but the parents to say, look, this can't even be anywhere in our community. It has to stay here unless you take it somewhere, maybe up north or wherever there might be trails. And then e-scooters, those have become really popular with youth and with adults. We already have city ordinance that does not allow those at all on our sidewalks. So I think it's a good point for parents. A lot of parents don't know that. They buy it for their kids to be on the sidewalks, to have these scooters. They're not allowed on the sidewalks. If a parent knew that they're supposed to be on the street, right, or on the trails, and maybe you don't have a resident that's close to the trails, you might think twice before buying an e-scooter, because maybe your 12-year-old, 13 or 14 is somebody that you don't want right now until they maybe mature, understand traffic and laws to be on the road. So that's why I wanted to share tonight is, really it's getting, as a city council, you can help us. We'll continue to get this flyer out there to our community, understanding what you're buying, understanding what can be ridden in our community. Comes down to etiquette anyways, especially, that's even driving a car, right? Having etiquette on the road. And understanding where an e-scooter, e-bike, and then e-moto is out. And we're gonna do our best using what we have already. But as you know, technology changes, and things, if there's more devices that come out and we have to approach our legal and then potentially for city ordinance change, we'll come back with an input. We'll give you what we're seeing on the road and then have you make a decision that way. So I open it up for any questions to city council.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Questions for Chief on this input item? I'm going to go to Mr. Biber first.
Thank you, Chief, for this. Very good. Also, I see a lot around my neighborhood is the bicycles, but they have the gas tanks tied to them. What are they considered as well?
Illegal.
Okay.
So
What's your real
here's
opinion, though? Just kidding.
here's the police chief hat and the dad hat. These youth enjoy it. It's incredible. They're building these things, and parents have to know, right? Is they can build them and everything, but once you put that gas powered on there, then it's going to be considered potentially a motor vehicle. Then you got to look at, does it have a VIN number? Can it be registered? Does it have equipment that can be on the road? The answer usually is no, 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 and no. So it can't be ridden anywhere. But we are seeing a lot of different versions. People are building their own, and all of those are not supported whatsoever within our city and in the state of Wisconsin.
I see a few of those with their older guys, and I call it the Rat Patrol. It's like worse than Harley Davidson right down with no pipes on. But also, when it gets to the point where it's e-motor with the insurance, where do they normally pay under, like a motorcycle insurance or?
I don't have an answer on insurance
Okay.
because they shouldn't be on them in the first place. So
Okay.
I would imagine it's not insurable.
But I agree with you. It's common courtesy is my first thought, and you put etiquette. It just makes sense. But we do have to educate. I don't think we need more rules and all. We already got it covered, like you said. So appreciate that. And if I had anything else. But I think they are good for some of the kids getting around. For people getting to work, can't afford a car type of thing. So, but they do have to follow the law.
I totally agree. An e-bike, if you have the class 1, class 2, class 3 is considered a bicycle. And what a great, it gives freedom, right? And you don't need a driver's license. And it's one of those first options that you can have to get yourself from point A to point B. It's just making sure that it's one of the classes that are on there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mullen, you're next.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for your presentation. Do we have information like this on our website? And maybe we should, and put it out on Facebook that okay, here's our rules, and please follow the rules. Just a thought. On the e-motos, I know because I've looked into it, they're basically a motorcycle.
Or it can be considered a moped, right? A
All
moped.
intents and purposes, they're, in terms of registration and driver's license, insurance requirements, and, it's like having a motorcycle.
100%.
So, in terms of complaints and things, the things that I've heard, now on my way here, I passed 2 bicycles on the sidewalk, and kids darting around on e-scooters is an issue, especially in traffic. You really got to pay attention to those kids because, sometimes they're out in the middle of the road and, without thinking. I almost pasted one a few years ago and just right across the street, didn't look. But most of the complaints that I've been hearing are in the parks. And especially like in Buttermilk Park, there's no bicycles at all allowed in there. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have city ordinance that any park that is posted, that is the rule, and Buttermilk is a big one because you got the beautiful hills and it's a larger park that is fully posted in a lot of different areas. So Chris and John Redmond and Adam Schmidt, they've all helped us get as much signage out there as possible. But Buttermilk Creek Park is one that you shouldn't see a bike at all, regardless of classes or no class.
Yeah. I mean, in Lakeside Park, it really comes down more to the courtesy
Yes.
aspect. People complain, they're walking, and you have e-bikes zipping by. And people on e-bikes complaining that the walkers are taking up the entire trail. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Brault, you're up next.
Thank you. So I'll try to see you over there. Yeah, so thank you for your presentation, and I appreciate that you're telling us that you don't really think we need more ordinances, because I've seen other communities are kind of leading that way, that they feel like there's more laws that need to be created, but I don't really know what else we would do besides what we already have. It really comes down to enforcement, but also, as you said, it's educating people and making sure that people are acting responsibly, and there's only so much we can do. We can't control what people are doing. We can just ask them and educate them. And I think that's really where we need to be is because, I see adults that are riding these e-bikes on the sidewalks and they're flying right through intersections. They're not looking, and that's scary, especially as a driver of a car, worried that you're going to hit somebody. So just the more we can talk about it and try to educate people, I think is really where we're at, not really trying to legislate anything else out of this, because I don't know what else we would do. But I guess one thing I'm curious about, if you know, because I haven't contacted anybody at the school district about this yet, but I asked my kids, because I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of bicycle education that was happening in our classroom. Like I remember people coming in and talking to us about bike safety and teaching us the hand signals. And I've asked my kids if they remember any of that, and they've all said no. Like they have Bike to School Day, which is a partnership through East Central Regional Planning Commission. And they said when they participate in that, there's usually some bicycle education as part of it, but it's pretty limited. And I recognize that our schools are really swamped with the things that they need to get into every educational day, that it's hard to also include that piece. But are you aware, is there any partnerships we could do with the school district, or do we have them already as far as education for kids?
Yeah, so we have some incredible partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, East Central, like you just said, Trefford Center. So we continue to do bike rodeos, they're called, around the community. I think this is one that I need to sit down with. Usually it's our school resource officers it's just like driver's ed. When you learn electric vehicles came on the road, there's just different things that you need to know. This is something that we can get into our bike rodeos to get that word out. I think the biggest thing is getting it into the parents' hands, right? Because if we're talking about youth that are in school, my personal opinion is most of that is probably coming from a parent purchase. So we want the parents to be educated of what really the classifications are, where they can be, so that they're purchasing the right thing for their child. I think that's where it first has to start is where at the point of purchase versus the end user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's not something that I even realized was an issue, is these online purchases. And I can see that would be a really easy point where people are buying something that they think is one thing and getting something that's not actually legal even in some cases.
How they're selling a lot is they're just selling them under the notion of an e-bike. And if you're not really knowing what, because this is statewide, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're not knowing the rules when you buy it, you think you're buying an e-bike and you get it home and it's actually an e-moto.
Well, it sounds like a good plug for Buy Local, because I know our local bike stores,
100% buy local.
right?
Good plug.
So, but, yeah, I know as a parent, like, I really worry, like, because when I've picked up my daughter from middle school, like, that's the age where I think a lot of these kids are starting to ride these, and like, seeing some of these kids just zipping through, like, and, they're not wearing helmets, and some of them are driving on the street like I think they should be, as far as, like, trying not to hit other pedestrians and whatever, but I worry that they're not getting a lot of good education as to what's safe. And I mean, they're kids too, so they're going to be impulsive, and that's something we can't really control either. But I also recognize I think we need to do more education for our drivers of cars, because I feel like there's a lot of people that don't recognize how much we need to share the road, especially with the scooters. I think, that's such a new thing that people, I think, don't think that they should be in the roads, and they legally should be. So there's just, I think, so many different facets. So I really appreciate that your department is working to try to especially work on the education piece of it and get the word out. And yeah, I'll do as much as I can too, because it's a group effort. So
I think we just got to continue to, I always say, like, when you have the problem, you swim upstream, just to share with city council and those that are listening. I mean, enforcement is, it's different, right? You just said, a lot of youth are impulsive. So if we see something that's a violation and we try and stop that youth and they take off, we look at it as, is it desirable even to go, like, put anybody else in danger as we would pursue that. So there's a lot of times, some of them know that they might not be doing the right thing, right, at the time, and they take off. And so enforcement is a little difficult. So if we can swim upstream and do a lot of awareness, education, and knowledge, hopefully that's going to start to mitigate, and get the right people doing the right things.
yeah, thank you. And I also just want to say I appreciate that you're supportive of people wanting to use these modes of transportation, because it's such a great, as Mr. Biber said, it's such a great thing to have as an alternative, that, maybe we can get some more cars off the street. And if people can't afford a vehicle, like, it's a nice way to have an extra mode of transportation that gives people some freedom. So thank you for at least being supportive that we want to.
It would be hypocritical where we have 8 Class 3s as a police department, and our officers love them out there. So yeah, we are really supportive of this device.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brault. Ms. Leering, you're up next.
I was just wondering, you said that some people are building their own things and riding them around. It's funny, but I saw a motorized couch when I was at Quick Trip. And these people, like, pulled up and they put gas in it, and then it was green and there were no seatbelts, and then they just drove away.
I don't even know how to respond to that. But,
So what would we do? What kind of rules would we have for the motorized couch?
I don't know. Switch to a
Which
lazy boy
class would
motorized.
that
I mean,
fit into? I have
we have human beings, right? So we have human beings in this world, which is a beautiful thing, and they're going to push the envelope. And if our officers come across a motorized couch, it's probably going to hit Facebook, I guess. So
That is what I did with it when I saw it, but I'm just curious, like, what would that be classified as? E-moto?
I
went fast too, by the way. When they zipped away, it kind of went back and then forward. They
We're not looking
whizzed
for a
really
graphic
quick.
revision here, Chief. We
No,
don't.
I appreciate that.
We're good.
And we start going down that road, I'm just going to look at the city attorney and say, okay, why don't you classify the lazy boy that's on the road.
Ms. Hoffman's over there going, I don't want anything to do with this. That's right, not roadworthy's right.
It was velvet too. It was like a green velvet, so
That's awesome.
it was pretty nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ms. Mayweather, follow that.
I ain't got nothing on that one. Again, thank you so much for your presentation. Again, as Tiffany said, we're going to do our part, making sure that everyone is educated. Actually, I had the same question, is how we can go about educating, especially the youth, which thank you for bringing up the partnerships that you do have with the Boys and Girls Club and the East Central. I also wanted to put the idea out of incentives, dealing with specifically the youth, which is what the complaints that I see is mostly they're going so fast, not following the traffic rules, they're on the sidewalks. Kids don't care about rules. They're at a very young age where the rebel era is coming. So in my opinion and view, maybe bringing back incentives like, let's say if they practice safety with their bikes, getting I don't know, something of monetary value, a Roblox gift card, something, or just bring them at those incentives, especially with school. But then on the other hand, the school district does have a lot on their plate, but maybe throughout the school year, if those children are practicing being safe on a bike, you're wearing your helmet, you're wearing your knee pads, your arm pads, hey, you get, what do they offer at lunch? I don't even know what they offer at lunch. A free cookie, a free muffin, or something like that. So I think that also could maybe come into play with maybe pairing up and partnering up with the school district as well. But Tiffany touched on most of everything that I had, so thank you so much. But thank you.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, so we currently are partnering with the Dock Spiders and for incentives. So we want our officers out there to catch somebody doing something well. So the helmets, the doing things right, we actually can give them a voucher for a free ticket to the Dock Spiders game. So that was a program that our local Dock Spiders worked with us. So we do have incentive programs when they come around, and sometimes we have local businesses that will do like a free cone or a burger, whatever it might be. So if you are listening out there, you know, and you want to be part of incentives, look me up.
Thank you, Ms. Mayweather. Mr. Zimmerman, you're up.
Thank you, President Heisler, and thank you, Chief Goldstein, for your presentation. I will admit I am the one that was shaking the beehive on this one. And it's not because I'm looking to ban any of this. The community's talking about it. I will say I'm rather disappointed tonight because everybody can be a keyboard warrior talking about it, but when I invited them to our meeting tonight, there's nobody here. So, but what I am happy to hear tonight is we are being proactive. We are doing our part. And what I'm hearing, it's time for the community to maybe do their part with their purchases of these bikes. You know, I've already had a parent in my neighborhood say, you know, after you guys are starting to crack down on this, I told my son maybe we should sell the emote before we have a hard time getting rid of them. You know, and I have no problem with e-bikes. I think they're a great alternative. It's really these e-motos that are having the issues. So they need to follow the rules just like everybody else does. That's my big thing, and I'm happy we had this discussion because it proves that we're proactive, we're doing something, we hear them, and now it's just getting the informational piece out to everybody. And if I can just share one fun story, my wife knew I was bringing this up, and we were at Walleye Weekend, and one of your guys went by, and one of your guys' electric things, and she goes, "You gonna citizens arrest them or what?" I said, no. So that was fun. But I'm happy that here we're doing all the right things, and now we just got to get it out to the community that we've had this discussion, and now we just move forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Ms. Mayweather, it's yours.
You. To jump off what Britt has said here, y'all remember back in school, if a child skipped class, the parents used to get the truancy ticket. Is that still a thing? Is that maybe how we should get the parents to be educated, is kind of doing something where it's not necessarily scaring them, but also putting in play, like, the parents play a huge part too. Granted, the parents are probably like, hey, I want this child to get out my face. They keep asking for the same thing, but also they have to take on their own responsibility. So is that something that we're able to do, is like, let's say we catch, I don't even want to say catch, but let's say we have a youth or a child that's inappropriately using these bikes and e-motos. Is that something where we're able to, a parent, get involved, or this happen, kind of like a consequence to it?
There's different enforcement methods that we use, you know, within the school district. You know, we're always careful as far as if we work progressively. So we work from, you know, the education to some warnings to if we have to do a ticket. And the tickets are different for like a 12 and 13-year-old to a 14 through 16 and then 16 plus in fine amounts. And a lot of times we're looking for voluntary compliance, so it's not about the fine, it's really, you know, getting that message across to once we get to a ticket, we've probably had about 3 or 4 times with this child, and it's time to, you know, like, have the parents step up and help us out, so. But in the school system, there are different enforcement methods when it comes to those type of tickets with truancy and stuff like that, that we work with municipal court and our city attorney's office to bring the parents in as culpability, responsibility in the role that they have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Mayweather. With an empty queue, I just want to add my quick thoughts. Excellent presentation as always, Chief. Thank you for the takeaways from this. Big takeaways from me are the fact that we have what we need on the books already, and I'm glad that that's the case, as has been discussed here. I'm glad that there's, you know, you don't see any loopholes that we need to fill at this time, and that's great. And I think the whole thing is just more education. And I'm glad that you brought this up, Mr. Zimmerman, because it's definitely something we're getting a lot of emails on, and I'm sure we'll continue to. So anybody that's hearing this or can help us spread the word, will definitely take the participation. So Thank you so much, appreciate it. And with that, closing out our input item for tonight, all that's left to do is entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Zimmerman, a second by Ms. Mayweather. This is not debatable, please proceed to vote. And we are all adjourned. Thank you.